there a website for that?
Michelle will take care of that. Michelle Noren.
Yeah, but how do I get it to her? Is it something that I submit along with the minutes?
I think maybe email her and find out.
Okay, because it's not Michelle that gets the minutes, it's the town clerk.
Right. Well, either Michelle or Vicki will know what to do.
Yeah, okay. All
I
right.
think they work together pretty closely. If we can just get it over to town hall.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. So the recording missed me saying welcome to everybody. And so now we're just looking over these minutes for the last meeting on July 17th. That was a Zoom meeting. And if people can just review them.
So who do we have here? Oh, is this you, Katie?
Yeah, I'm on the call.
Yeah, okay. All right. Thank you.
We have Katie and Aaron.
So Katie's there, but not Aaron, right?
No,
Aaron
I'm
is
on the
here.
call.
Oh,
Katie is here, and Aaron, and Patsy, and Pink, and me,
Yep.
and Cheryl, and you.
yeah. So I have to do a little juggling because I'm signed in on the phone, but my computer does not have, I'm also signed in on the home computer, but the home computer does not have a camera. So I juggle back and forth. So I can see you on my home computer screen, but you can't see me, except thank God for that picture, that old picture.
Well, we can improvise.
Holly, I think we need to approve the minutes or.
Yeah. If everyone's had a minute to take a look at the minutes, do we have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
I'll make a
So
motion.
moved.
Do we have a
Okay.
second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
So all opposed, say nay. All abstentions.
Oh, Holly.
All right, sounds good. So how would you like to do the actions? You want to just go down the list?
And once again, just because we are pressed for time, I was going to suggest that we not do them exactly in order and instead focus on the actions that are the most critical and where we're in danger of not getting the point. And
Okay.
in my opinion, that, and if anyone wants to contradict me, I hope you'll jump in. But I think the ones that are a little in question are action number 2, the well-stewarded land, because that action, the points we have now are expiring. And then also action 9, inclusive and equitable community impacts, because there's been so much back and forth on that. And so
Okay.
I think that with action 8, I see action needed written down there, but I think we do have some points on that. But let's start out, if it's okay, with action number 2. And
Okay.
it is correct that our points are expiring there, right? Our old points will expire on that. I think I see a nod from Katie. And so what we're going to try to do is do nip the knotweed for that. Is that correct? Okay. And now, Maureen, thank you for doing that outreach for Suzanne. And I sent over some sort of a write-up to Katie and Aaron. Is there something that would be able to get some points off of that and the Facebook links?
Yeah, I just had a couple questions for you guys because I reached back out to my boss because I know you said you were interested in doing Nip the Knotweed for 2.10.2 and 7.1. And I talked to her about it, and there's 2 different options you guys can go about doing this. So I just wanted to talk to you first to figure out, because that will determine how you do these write-ups.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay. So for 2.10.2, that just involves having municipal staff clearing invasive species on municipal lands, which is already done with nip the knotweed. You can also get points under 7.1 because this project has happened several times, including on non-municipal land and with outreach for volunteers. So you can get points for 7.1 under that. You just have to make sure that the write-up is clear which days did what and where that happened and who was involved. So the biggest thing with doing this is if you split it up between 2.10.2 and 7.1 is you have to draw as many distinctions between the two of them as possible. So it's clear that it was sort of two separate actions, even though it was the same general program.
Okay.
So we would have two separate write-ups?
Yes, you would.
Okay. All right.
That's great.
Mhm.
Okay, we can do that. Right, Holly? I mean, that's Suzanne. She keeps track of all of this beautifully documented.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned now, just in terms of time, because I'm going to be pressed for time just doing what I've committed to doing on action number 9. And so I don't think I'm going to be relying on you, Maureen, to do everything. And I think if you're
Okay,
pressed
so
for
I'll
time,
write that.
I think you should focus on 2 if you're pressed for time, because if we don't get that.
Okay, I'll finish that write-up. You have something you've already written, right, Holly?
Yes.
Okay, why don't you send that, email it to me, and I'll take it from there. I'll do the 2 separate write-ups
Okay.
in conjunction with Suzanne.
Send right up to Maureen.
Can I say something perhaps related? I was asked to look up the Linda Clow
Mm-hmm.
thing in Haynes Park, and I went, and it's not cared for. The sign needs to be cleaned, maybe protected from bird poop. It's right under a tree. I don't know, or just cleaned regularly. And someone suggested asking the Nip the Knotweed group. I mean, I think there could be a whole little event around tidying it up and doing the mulch and working with the
Sure,
town.
Linda would love it. You
Yeah, she
would be
would.
her new best friend.
Yeah, I know.
Sure.
Well, I'd like to do it. It looks like a job needing to be done, because right now it sort of sends another message of neglect.
Right.
It's not a good message.
Well, she's been waiting for support from Conservation Commission, and it's kind of dropped by the wayside. So I'm pursuing the mulch issue, as is Mary Jo.
But can it be part of this well-stewarded land thing in some way also, or not? That's the question.
Okay.
I have to say, we have to be done by a week from today. So, maybe for a future, I'm going to suggest maybe for a future go around.
Okay.
But I mean, unless you can really pull it off this week, Tink.
No, I can't pull anything off. I'm hardly erect.
So I think it's probably best to consider that.
Okay. I just was asked to research it, and that's
Right.
what I came up with.
Yeah, and in terms of substance, I think it's a great idea to do down the road. We're just sort of pushing things back because the next week is like the final exams are a week from today.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
When is the next application? Young ladies, when is it? It's spring in 2021?
Yeah, that's the next application cycle.
Okay, so this makes sense then to hold it and be working on it?
Yep.
Okay, so go ahead.
Go ahead, Maureen.
No, I'm just saying that would be good because the weather will cool off and we'll be much more inclined to show up and start shoveling mulch.
Yeah, I think I'll clean up the sign before then, because being kind of having seen it, I was almost not allowed there because I don't have a permit. I almost got chucked off the land, but I'll keep on trying. Thank you,
Tell
Tink.
me again, to do what, Tink, what was it?
Well, the sign is a mess, and it shouldn't be.
Oh, yeah, right.
It's easy to do. It would take, nothing in the way of time. And if the town comes up with mulch, I'll do it just because it needs it. But that's not the point right now. We're saying what to do for 2. So it's not relevant.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and the sign. Nope, let me just drop in. The sign can be done by the Conservation Commission because the gal who designed it, she lives over on Old Stagecoach Road. She can clean it.
Okay, just to know it needs it badly. Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's all that scummy, mildewed kind of stuff.
Plus, well, the thing about the Phragmites, which she's concerned about, I did see the Phragmites. They're really just right behind the garden that was built.
Right,
and
exactly.
they would be reachable with a machine when but only when the water's down. So there is you have to jump on that.
Yeah, George and I cut those and dragged away all that stuff a few years ago. So now it's time to do it again. But we were able to do it. It was probably in the fall. Yeah, I'm sure it was in the fall. And, I just wore boots and, rain boots and got in there and cut, and he raked and pulled it out.
Well, good for
So
you.
I have not, I limited my request to mulch rather than complicate it with mulch now and dig later. I'll chase down Ed later and we could do, I doubt that they will send a backhoe. I just doubt it. But we can keep cutting it because if you cut it often enough, it will die out.
Right. Okay.
So yes, we won't lose. Let's not lose track of it, but we'll parcel it out over time.
That's good.
yeah. And it does
All right.
feel like a worthwhile effort. And then in the meantime, just in terms of doing the stuff that requires the deadline, we're going to be relying on nip the knotweed, and any corrections we can get to that or any suggestions, we'll get that finished by this week, hopefully, so we know that we're okay on that.
And one more thing. So Tink, will you let Linda know that she has a posse?
Okay.
Okay, so we have a mulch spreading posse for the fall.
Okay.
All right, so she'll be really happy. She'll fall all over you if you tell her that.
No, I appreciate her need.
And then also ask her if she plans to put plants in. Because if she does, we can probably get some funding for that from the Conservation Commission. But we'd need a little bit of a proposal, a list, for example, with a bottom line. How much money does she need?
Okay.
That'll make her happy too. Oh, and the other part of that too is that she had lovely little signs staked in the ground identifying these plants. And if any of them need to be replaced, that will also be part of her request for funding.
Okay, well, we're leaving that to one side. I'll just tell her this sort of.
Yeah, put that on your list.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Maureen, if you have other questions about this, we're going to lose one of our
Yep.
fellows.
Okay. Sorry, keep going.
In half an hour. So I'm just going to zoom on to the stuff where we need in order to get our points. I'm jumping now to action 8, where you've noted down action needed, but I'm going to ask the fellows if we are sort of squared away on action 8. Do you think we are? Am I seeing a nod or?
Yeah, I'm like 99% positive you're squared away on action 8. Erin, we sent the document to Jess, didn't we, for her to confirm?
That was how it was written in the minutes.
Yep, this is the one that we just had to change the minutes. Yep.
All right.
Okay.
So that's all written up. It's just we're waiting to make sure it passes muster. Yes, no?
I think I saw a nod.
Yes.
Yeah. Katie, Erin, you need to speak because not everybody, like, I don't see all of you. So speak up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
It looks like
right.
all 8.1.1 will get the 10 points since the small revision was made.
Okay, that's good news. Okay. So that brings us to the other really key thing, which is Action 9, inclusive and equitable community impacts. And with that, we've got 2 initiatives going on. And I don't know if we can completely rely on either one of them. With the equitable walks, we have 267 people have taken the online survey. And that was as of yesterday. It may be more today.
Great.
That's
I
great.
think that's excellent. So thank you, Holly.
That's awesome. That's an amazing turnout.
Yeah, and what about the other things on the agenda?
Bigger hand.
Whippoorwill Road?
No, the other one's the walk one. That's not so good, right?
Yeah, the audit is not doing as well. As of yesterday, we only had, I think, a handful of audits that were completed. I think that some more will be coming in, but I'm not sure that the outreach was ideal for it. You know, I don't know how much we have to rely on those audits being okay. People have been very focused on online. I don't know if the fellows can give us any feedback on that issue.
Well, let me
I
also,
think Cheryl.
let me just say first, we did a kind of a very early draft of what we would write up for Action 9, describing both the audit and the survey. Obviously, it doesn't have the final findings or analysis of the audit or survey, but it was sort of a draft. And we sent that to Alyssa, and she said she's going to take a look at it and get back to us and give us feedback regarding it being a Action 9, but also whether it best fits under 10 or 2. No, 10 or where's 5 audit. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, some of that is going to hang on, I think, how successful the audit is, but I don't know. I'm not quite sure what the criteria is. I don't know how much Erin and Katie, I don't know if you can give us any tips about what we should be doing in terms of making this fly.
I think the most important thing is if you could use the toolkits that they provide, that Sustainable CT provides, and you use the language from it. We've often found that they're very Sustainable CT is really strict when it comes to like checking the boxes. So we can send you all that PDF, so then it'll be right at the top of your inbox if you'd like. And then pull some of the language from there for the narrative. But I think, I don't know, Katie, I think that's our best suggestion in terms of what they're looking for.
Yeah, and we worked off of the equitable toolkit. There's something like 5 steps or 5 questions. And so we followed that format and used their language in the draft we sent to Alyssa. So I can send that to you too.
Yeah, that would be great. I would say the biggest thing, like Erin said, using the toolkit as like kind of like a guide and following the right questions, and also just reaching out to like Alyssa repeatedly. Most of the time, equity toolkits go through a few different drafts. So it's just good to be sure and listen to her comments and revise in that way and send it back to her, because that's the best way you're going to get approved, if you get the best comments from Sustainable CT.
Okay. The other Action 9 that we applied for is for what we did under Action 1, Thriving Local Economies. There's, I think 1.4.1 is business roundtables. And so when I wrote that up, I also wrote up an Action 9 to show how that was done in an equitable way by the municipality and its committee. So should I send that to Alyssa too, or just?
Yeah, sure. They actually ask for the equity tool. They ask to see the narratives.
Oh, okay.
They honestly prefer to read them before we submit. So
Okay.
there it would be it's no harm to us. So I would definitely suggest sending it. That way we can tweak it before the deadline.
Oh, great. Okay.
And now there are some connections between these two initiatives, in that they both have some connection to the whole issue of Halls Road. I don't know if one map should be submitted with both of them. I think looking over Alyssa's comments, it looks as if she wanted to see a sort of strategic analysis of the walking rather than just to search for potholes, as she put it. So I don't know if there might be some synergy between the two things. What Cheryl's been writing up and what I've been doing with the survey.
I'll take a look at that.
Yeah, I think the main thing would be maps showing how, you know, Halls Road does connect with Route 1 in the village, or it potentially would. And our survey comments brought that issue up a good bit, that, you know, people really want to be able to walk, you know, from Halls Road onto other places. So, okay, so it sounds as if what, Katie and Aaron, it sounds like what you're saying is we should send as much of our narratives as possible over to the, over to Alyssa ahead of time.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, then we'll keep doing that. And we will be trying to finalize a letter to our Board of Selectmen in the next couple of days before the end of the month, since that's the deadline for completing things.
And that's, saying what was done with the survey and walkability audit, and that we'd like them to consider it in the future, consider those results in future decisions or something to that respect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, so that's sort of where we are in terms of Action 9, which it sounds like it's just going to be a whole lot more writing. So now circling back a little bit, let's go to the overview, back to the top of Action 3, overview of action statements and leads for each action set. Thriving local economies. Cheryl, you just covered that, unless you have anything more to add on that.
No, I'm sorry, you broke up for me. Are we going to the top of the list of actions now?
Yeah, overview of actions to date from leads for each action set. So I skipped over you earlier when we started in on that because I was so worried about the ones where we wouldn't get points at all. But you just covered the whole issue of poster roundtable for local businesses.
Oh yeah, so I have that written up.
About
That's
that.
ready to get uploaded.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you there.
That is all written up, and I will be loading that into the application.
Wonderful. Okay.
4.1.
Okay. And then with Action 2, we have covered that. Action 3, vibrant and creative cultural ecosystems. We're back to you, Cheryl.
Okay, so 3.1, the culture map is almost done. I should have that wrapped up by maybe Tuesday. It's a bit tedious. ctvisit.com update, that's 3.1.2, I think. We have the Arts District CT Visit page updated, and Michelle Noren is going to, she's in the middle of working with the state of making sure the Town of Old Lyme CT Visit site is updated. So that will be done by like Tuesday, I think. Then 3.2. So I've got 3.2. So here are the things that I'm still working on. Oh no. 3.2.10, the library. That's done. I need to upload it. 3.2.9 just need to that's done. I need to just upload it. That's the art recognition. 3.2.2 is just uploading municipal marketing of arts and culture. 3.2.8 is just the write-up of the art district. I can do that with my eyes closed and uploading that. 3.2.7, I'd like to pursue that with Dave Roberge. I've got to call him and find out more about the permit process and see if he will write that up with me this coming week. It's pretty streamlined. Things are easy to do in Old Lyme for special events. And I think that is all of my 3s.
Wow. That's a lot.
I have a list.
Wow.
I have a list of what I have to do before August 1st and what can be done after August 1st. So that's what I'm trying to.
Oh my
Good
goodness,
girl.
wow.
Good girl.
Oh boy. I don't know how you're doing it all, Cheryl, but it's awesome. That's all I can say. I'm just
Oh,
awesome.
thank God for COVID and no travel plans. That's
Yeah.
No travel plans, right?
It ends up being the summer project.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. That's 3.
So that's wonderful. Okay, so now going through the other actions. For actions 4 and 5, I think we are set. With action 6, Maureen, what you just sent to me, that relates to action 6, doesn't it? The efficient physical infrastructure and operations would include the solar school bus?
Okay, yeah, all right. So can I clarify, wait a minute, before we go ahead, can I clarify the terminology that you're using? Are you saying action or do you mean category? So like what Cheryl just said, category 3, action 4, would that be the correct terminology? Young ladies, you'll have to answer that. So when you say action 3, action point 1, I want to keep it straight.
I haven't seen them called categories. Maybe the language has changed over time and I'm just seeing the new language where they're called actions.
Action is the better word to do, and it's to use, and it's important to include all the sub numbers just so they know what exactly you're talking about. So for like nip the knotweed, it's action 2.10.2.
Okay, so that is correct. All right, I shouldn't doubt Cheryl.
No,
Okay.
you know what, Maureen, it may have been categories early on and now they call it, like, I don't know.
Okay.
But I've only
Well,
seen.
just so I'm using, I want to use the same vocabulary that you're using all consistently on everything that I write. So keep me straight. And Cheryl, maybe just email me. You have a long list of actions within action 3. Just, I'm not sure I got it all. Like 3.2.9, you need to upload. 3.2.3, you're uploading today. Just do a quick summary. You can cut and paste the list, but you don't have to explain all of it. Just do it so I can put it in the minutes and not miss things.
Yeah, I'll send that.
Okay. Okay. And just, to take off on that too, Mary Jo suggested that the minutes be brief and more of a summary, and then separately from that to send in it, like for example, in an email at this point, a list, like a to-do list. All of those explanations that I typically would put in minutes, she said, you don't need to do that. Just say discussion, blah, blah, resolve, blah, blah. We don't have, so that's why you're going to see it separate. One is going to be the minutes and the other is going to be the to-do list. So don't miss them. Okay?
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, so go ahead, Holly, keep going.
Okay, so if we have time, I was going to jump. I think we have action 4 and action 5 squared away. With action 6, I believe that is squared away, but I also think we will get more points for this solar school bus for Region 18, where you just sent me an article for Events Magazine.
Yeah, I just did that. So, yeah, you got that, right?
Yes, so I was going to ask our fellows, would that go under physical infrastructure and operations?
I sent you that this morning, lady.
Yeah.
Young lady.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'm just gonna have to go through. I can do it right now, actually. Look through the actual application and the requirements for it to make sure that it would fit.
Okay.
Because I don't want to say one way or the other unless it does fit. So let me just check that right now.
Okay. Okay, and I think we have points in that category anyway. We just would like, if possible, to get points for this solar school bus, because I think that if anything is sustainable, it's these great new alternative energy sources, and a solar school bus is a really exciting thing, I think.
Yep.
Okay, so now moving down to action 7. With 7.1, as we discussed, we may try to get points with that, but not if they take away points from action 2. With 7.2, the effective communications, I don't know, Cheryl, I think you've got an identical twin doing some of what you're doing. But maybe you could give us another report, this time on action 7.2, provide effective community communications.
Yep, I'm working on that today and yesterday. I'm doing the inventory of communication channels and then the communication strategy. What I'm doing is writing a draft for Michelle Noren, who really oversees all of the communications on behalf of the first selectman. So I'm writing her a draft so that it's within the format that Sustainable Connecticut wants it. And then I'm gonna hopefully get it to her Monday or Tuesday, and then she can adjust it or correct it and see if it reflects what she really does. Or make sure that it reflects what she really does.
This is just.
But how would she know to do things? In other words, we would have to initiate something we wanted promoted, correct? Like we've asked her if she would send it through the selectmen's broadcast. She would not act without something from one of us, correct?
Well, actually, there's 2 parts to 7.2. One is an inventory of every way the municipality sends out information to the community. That's everything from Dave Roberge's reverse 911 and e-notifications on storm warnings and things like that, to Tim's weekly newsletter, to Events Magazine, to the Halls Road banner. Like every way the municipality sends out information. And fellows, please correct me if I'm wrong. The second part of it is her communication strategy. So that is how does she learn from the community what they want. So for one thing, in January, she did a Facebook survey. What would you like to see on the town's Facebook page? Do you want to see pretty pictures? Do you want to learn about meeting minutes? What do you want to do? So she is seeking feedback from the community on what they'd like to see in communications. And then she has various ways that she does reach out on behalf of Tim or with Tim. And then Dave Roberge, the emergency management manager, he's sending out information. He has his own strategy, his own Facebook page and ways of reaching people. And then also just media relations. Who writes press releases and gets information out to the media? How does that sound, Katie and Aaron?
That sounds correct and very thorough to me. I think you have it all covered.
Okay.
Does that lend itself to the equity toolkit? It seems with communications, there's always concern about the people who are falling between the cracks.
I think perhaps in the future we could do that, but at this point, I think to look at it in the past, it would be hard to document, and that she could perhaps operate in that way for the future.
Okay.
I don't think I have enough examples for an equity one.
Okay, so we'll keep
But
that
if-
on the back burner, but yeah. no,
Point
this
well
is-
taken. That I think sharing, I can share all that with her, and she can look at it for how she does community communications in the future.
I think Town Hall is quite worried about, especially some of these underserved sort of elderly shut-ins, that they just don't know that this is happening, you know? And
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of concern about that.
And they do have on the website, and that's another big part of it, how robust is the website, and it's pretty robust for a small municipality. But they do have a form on the website that you can fill out if there was an evacuation. Do you need help? Would you be bringing pets with you in addition to your own limitations getting out of your house or apartment? And they also have people who, like I have a neighbor who is in Lyme Ambulance Association, and they reach out to people during COVID. And that brings up another thing, people on that list, they reach out and make sure people are doing okay. There has been a huge effort at the municipal level on making sure people have resources during, especially the early phase of COVID. And there's a whole very robust part of the website, which is, here are all the resources. Here's how to get masks. Here's how to get food assistance. Here's, like just a lot of information. So I want to highlight that as well.
Yeah, the COVID response.
Cheryl, do you also have on your list the senior center? They broadcast now like at least three times a week.
I'll make sure I have that. I know they have, I have that as part of the municipality, but I think that's good.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure I have that newsletter on there too. And Michelle will make sure that everything's on there as well once I give her the draft.
So also, whether it's appropriate or not, the three ministers at the Congregational Church, for example, during this season, have each called every member of the congregation. So, for example, earlier in the spring, I got a call spread over time from each of the three ministers.
Well, that's not everybody. That's not everybody, because we did it. I wouldn't say that. That's not true.
What, you didn't get a call?
No, we didn't get any, but we did get a call from someone on the vestry, and what I heard was the vestry was all calling people. They sort of signed off on us after a while, but no, we didn't hear from any of the clergy. They just don't say it. It isn't true.
I think, Maureen, it was the deacons, and there was a committee of people who did call. We got one.
And for this purpose, it has to be the municipality. So,
okay, all right, that's fine. So drop that.
I missed the last few seconds of the conversation, but it sounds like we've sort of finished covering the communication side of things.
yes.
Okay, so moving down, we've covered everything up to the 63 Whippoorwill Road issue under, which I guess is sort of, I don't know what that even goes under. I think that would go under Action 2, actually. And I don't know if anyone wants to go take a look at that.
I'm sorry, look at what?
Say that again. Say it again.
I'm going down through the agenda. Under Action 9, it lists the inclusive community impacts.
Yes.
The walk that we've covered. Under that, we've written 63 Whippoorwill Road with accessible dock.
Really, I'm on a conference call and I don't have my book, but I'll call you. I'll try to call.
I think 63 Whippoorwill Road is something that if anyone has time for it, it might be worth looking into that issue. We might get points for Action 2 if we can look into that in the next week. I think that relates to the well-stewarded land, if anything has happened there.
Well, you know what?
It's not top priority, but it might be nice to have points.
Okay, but you know what? That could be added to one of the sustainability surveys, because what we did not focus on, we did it on roads, but this is one of the open spaces. And why couldn't someone who's filling out the survey add that as where I walked? I walked in the open space, and I, at the end where you ask for input, put in a bench in that location. So if it was added to the survey, it would be noted, it would be official, it would be on a piece of paper eventually. And why couldn't, I have a friend who hasn't filled out the survey yet, I could ask her to put that in as her notes.
Yeah, no, I think
As a
we should be. It sounds like it's a terrific thing that they've been doing there. And, you know, if people want to document that somehow in their comments, that would be great. So that's why you've got that under action 9. And yeah, maybe I'll take another look at our survey responses. It's possible some people have already documented it. The area I've looked at the least is the descriptions of where people have walked. With so many responses, it's sort of hard to look at everything. And I've been focusing more on the demographics and the suggestions so far.
Yeah. Another comment that I was told verbally, but it's a really good one, is at the entrance to Rogers Lake Trail is a really hot spot for walkers or bikers, because the cars whip around that corner. But one simple solution that I said, put that in the walkability thing, add a walkway that cuts across that patch of green, which is in earlier days was known as the frog pond. But to build a little walkway right through the middle of that would mean that there would be nothing else to do. You don't have to worry about cutting trees or making any further suggestions. And that actually could be a really good Eagle Scout project. But bisect that trail with a nice, slightly elevated walkway. But that, I would think that putting it like the bench at Whippoorwill Road could be added to the walk survey. No, is that correct or not correct?
Well, people can write in whatever they want for their comments. At this point, I would be very reluctant to create a new survey or edit the survey that we have.
Oh, no, not at all suggesting anything new. I'm just suggesting a person who would be doing the survey could put a comment like that to be potentially acted on or addressed. But having that stuff on paper, when you do the survey of the summary of the survey, that's where it will show up.
Okay, and so I'll keep an eye peeled for that, and maybe someone will comment along those lines. You know, we'll see what we get.
Yeah, I'm going to take steps to get somebody to comment.
Okay.
I think they're both really great ideas, and we don't want to lose them.
Yeah, I have to say the descriptions of walks have been really lovely. The ones I've read.
Good.
Okay, now going down through your agenda, this is a great agenda, by the way, Maureen. It's very well organized. Jumping down to 5 and other business, I think we need to cover this issue of RiverCog and partnering with. Now, that's your initiative? I'm sorry, Cheryl?
Holly,
Uh-huh.
we didn't do action 10, and that's the school system committing to renewable energy.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, good one.
That's a huge one. Okay.
So how do we reach out to Rebecca, or has someone reached out to Rebecca already to ask her to write this up?
I did it. I sent it to you this morning.
But what you said was, I'm sorry, Maureen, I thought what you said was all about the school bus.
Okay, well, the article in the Day also summarizes the efforts. I'll show you what they've got.
Okay, so what we really need is for someone to reach out to Rebecca and ask her to write up the narrative for Action 10, which is the school system being the first in Connecticut to commit to 100% what is it, 100% renewable energy by 2030. They've got a really thorough PowerPoint that was presented to the Board of Ed a few months ago.
I have her minutes. I have her initial article and report, which I had to condense in order to get down to 250 words article, which I sent you this morning. So I've got the original notes. And then the Old Lyme School article was June 5 this year.
So I guess the question is, are we asking Rebecca to write up the narrative for Action 10?
I think she's done it.
Yeah, and this article starts out saying on June 3, the Board of Education's resolution established a goal of transitioning Region 18 school district to 100% clear energy by 2030. So I was referring to that in terms of the headline, which is Solar School Bus for Region 18, but it's pretty comprehensive.
Oh, okay. I thought that was an article from Limelight or something. I didn't realize that was a narrative.
And well, it's been written for the Events magazine. Of course, the deadline for that is August 7th, but it's still, you know, it was done on June 3. So even though the article won't be published for a while, does that matter? That article won't be published until well after our submission, but the summary is all here.
So we're using her article as the narrative? Is that, I'm just clarifying for myself.
Well, we could use that, but we could also use the day article, which is titled Lyme Old Lyme Schools Looks to Phase Out Fossil Fuel Use by 2030. So it's less than my article for the Events magazine is about the school bus. This article in the day is about fossil fuels in town. It ties in, for example, here it is, ties in with the district's 5-year capital plan, blah, blah, blah. And it's very specific about what they plan to do. Solar panels on the roofs, what the charge is, 2 to 3 cents per kilowatt of electricity.
Okay, so here, Maureen, here is what has to be submitted for 10.1. It says, describe your innovative sustainability action, how you accomplished it, who participated, and how it will benefit your municipality. Upload additional materials, documents, photos, web links, or other information to substantiate that you have completed the action and provide a model for other municipalities.
Okay, so where are you reading that from? Off the sustainability website?
Yes.
Okay.
So, do you want me to get in touch with Rebecca and talk to her about writing this up?
I don't think she has to write it up.
Somebody has to write it up.
Yeah, it'll either be you or me.
I have a question. Does this go under Innovation Action 10, or is this under Action 6, where it's sufficient physical infrastructure?
No, it's Action 10 because it's not all the municipal buildings. Am I correct, Kate?
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I had been arguing about that, but I guess I lost. Okay. Because the school does represent most of our taxes and most of our buildings. I mean, that plant is much bigger than Town Hall, but they seem to be absolutely certain that it's 10. How many points are available under 10 total, under Innovation Action?
Oops, hang
I
on.
believe it's from 5 to 40 points, but it just depends on the impact. So that's when writing in for that action will be the most important. So you can justify getting as much points as possible.
Okay, I'm actually a little bit worried that if this innovation action is so incredible, I'm worried it'll take all of our innovation points and then there won't be anything left for our survey. But I assume that the sustainables will manage it so that doing something good doesn't hurt us.
Yeah, you have it's 5 to 40 points per innovation action, and you can submit 2 of them.
Oh,
so
great.
If in best case scenario we could get 80 points for both.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yep.
Okay.
And I was just gonna suggest What action were you guys intending the bus to go? Was that intended to go under the innovation action or a different action?
Now it's sounding to me like it has to go under innovation.
Yeah, I think if you include basically what Maureen was saying, if you include the write-up, the article about including green energy in the school system, and then you also mentioned the school bus because they go hand in hand, I think that would be our best bet for getting the most points under that topic. And then we also have the innovation action of the survey.
Okay, so all of that solar stuff will be innovation.
Yep.
And that was a mistake for me to bring it up under item 6.
Okay.
All right, so the school bus and everything is action 10 as one thing.
I think so. The under the other actions, it starts to get really specific about having a certain percentage of school buses and things like that. So I think it might be best if we put it with the school system under 10.1.
Maureen, what if I reach out to Rebecca and kind of interview her and find out the answers to all the questions that need to be answered in action 10?
I'd be delighted.
Okay.
Feel free.
Okay.
There's so much going on.
Yeah, but that's okay.
Okay. Now, I know that we're going to be losing a fellow in a minute, but I just thought we would bring up this issue of RiverCog and partnering with. Maureen, is that something you want to present on?
Well, my first question is, did anybody attend that Zoom meeting this past week? I did not. Anybody?
No.
Okay. Well, the point of it that caught my eyes is the fact that there is a 10-year plan of conservation and development for the RiverCog region. So it's possible that it has less to do with our workings towards sustainable Connecticut and more to do with Conservation Commission. And under conservation, we're committed to submitting to that 10-year plan. And my plan is to include the fact that Conservation Commission is planning to, I don't know, insert itself into other actions that the town is taking over the next 10 years. So it's not a town-wide plan. Sustainable CT is not a town-wide plan. If it was, we'd know more about what was going on outside of our own doorstep, but we don't. So, young ladies, tell me, how do we connect to RiverCog and what is the connection?
So just so you know, I spoke with everyone at Sustainable CT, and for the RPOCD, the Regional Plan of Conservation and Development, there's no way for towns to get points for that. That's just not something that's in the application yet. It's something they're going to explore later, but that's not an option. What I would say about you guys engaging with RiverCog is, so they're having all of these meetings, and they've already had their old Lyme one. But when you go on their website, I can also send you these links. They have places for comment, and they're developing a survey because they want to get input from everyone living in RiverCog. So I would say one thing your committee can do is advertise that and take part in that. And that's the best way that you can add to this experience and give your say-so.
Yeah, so this regional POCD is separate from what's developed locally by each town, right?
Yes,
or
it is.
Separate, in addition to.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and this is the first one that RiverCog's has ever written. So it's a very momentous occasion for them. Bye,
so
Erin.
I'll need to hear from you, separate from this group, Sustainable Group, is
Bye.
Bye-bye.
how do I connect? Erin, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Erin, for all the work. Good work. Yeah, because it's very confusing for me now. I'm supposed to be helping or guiding or supporting what conservation is doing for this. but now there's another layer. So I don't know, that could be a whole separate conversation, but separate conversation, more work.
And maybe it should be on the back burner for now. It sounds like down the road, maybe we can do something with River Cog, but, you know, and we don't want to lose sight of it. You know,
Down the road is only a couple of months, because this all has to be done by the end of this calendar year, completed and submitted.
oh, for River Cog, okay. Okay,
No,
well, then-
Hi, Mary Jo.
For a plan of conservation and development, it all has to be finalized by the end of the year. So I'm trying to figure out how Conservation Commission fits in with River Cog, because nobody else is going to talk about it except me. Conservation Commission would be amazed to hear that there's a whole other plan afoot. And then they would turn to me to write something, so. Yeah.
It's definitely something that's very important, especially for your region, because it sets the vision for the next 10 years. So I would say once this
Yeah.
is underway, I definitely encourage you all to participate because it's very important.
All of it is a blueprint for how the town should act, or in this case, how the region should act, over 10 years.
and when was their
Next
last
10
one?
years.
2010.
2010 was the last
2010.
one that River Cog did, okay.
Oh, no, River Cog never did
No,
one.
no, no, no.
Old Lines is
It's the last
2010.
one Old Lyme did.
Okay,
Lyme.
okay.
POCD was 10 years ago, and now we're
Yeah.
pushing to get the next 10 years written up.
Okay, so River Cog is working on it now, and maybe we can get some input into, you know, hopefully they will push for things that will make Old Lyme more walkable, is my main
I don't
thing.
think so.
You don't
No,
think so?
as far as I understand, theirs are two completely separate efforts. There's possibly an overlap, but I don't know where, and I don't know who, but we can step away from it as far as sustainability goes, because sustainability would be, I think, mentioned or highlighted in what Old Lyme is doing. But as far as River Cog goes, that's all new for me.
Okay.
Important, important, but all new.
Okay, well, maybe that should not go on the real back burner, but just a little bit back. We won't do anything with it until after the end of this month. So we have one more week
Yeah.
to finalize our actions for
Nothing
sustainability.
nothing we can do for this application right now. So
Yeah,
I'll keep it on the agenda for upcoming meetings, but we'll see what happens with it.
yeah. And now we have Mary Jo here. Thank you for joining us.
Emily.
And what we're going to be closing in just a minute, but maybe we'll just sort of summarize what has to be done in the next week. And Maureen, I will be sending you the nip the knotweed stuff. And I'm also going to be trying to finalize a letter to the Board of Selectmen that summarizes what we learned from our audit and our survey. Cheryl, you're going to be doing about 1 million things. And we know that you've got your list of what has to be done this week and what has to be done by August 17th. Your list is,
And I'm going to call Rebecca.
oh, okay, that's great. Okay, so you'll be handling that Action 10 thing in terms of the solarized stuff. And you're also going to be doing the stuff with the effective communications. So you've got so much stuff going on. So in terms, we've got quite a few priorities. We've got the long list of stuff that Cheryl is finalizing. We've got the nip the knotweed write-ups that have to be kind of made so that they really work. And then we've got our innovation, our equity actions. And if we can get those done, then I think we're going to get our points, is my impression.
Woo!
So.
Wow. I'll provide the champagne.
I have a question for Katie.
Not virtual champagne, real champagne. Okay, go ahead, sorry.
So assuming we get certified this round, do we continue to submit actions before the 3-year recertification? Or
That
just wait until the 3-year certification?
That's all dependent on the town, the committee, and like your own desires. You can. So if you achieve certification this time around, you'll get bronze. And there is silver certification that you can go for as soon or as late as you want. And currently, Sustainable CT is working on their gold certification. So that will probably be published within the next year or so. But really, it just depends on what you guys want to do. The certification lasts 3 years, and usually after that, they do encourage towns to do it once more, just to be sure that you're still doing the ongoing work.
Okay, all right. And then for Mary Jo, on the walkability audit and survey,
Yep.
Holly is, because we need that to feel like completion by next Friday, completion would be providing some findings to the Board of Selectmen. So she's working on a draft letter to the Board of Selectmen to be sent out next week.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you have any guidance for within this meeting, but we're basically thinking of saying, you know, here's our preliminary findings. We'll give you the final findings when they're analyzed later in August. And we want the Board of Selectmen to continue to consider walkability of Old Lyme to be an important priority.
Mhm.
Should we consider something more than that, or?
When do you need, or let me just back up. I think it's great that it's going to come before the Board of Selectmen. What do you need for our points to hear from the Board of Selectmen? That we have a resolution or just a motion, or what's required for this? Because we don't meet till August 3rd next.
I mean, Katie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's really that we do our part in providing you the information.
Yeah.
Okay. So your letter or your formal information will be sent to the Board of Selectmen.
And that's the completion of the action.
Got it.
And, I mean, we could say, consider a walkability committee for the future or something like that. But it's really telling the Board of Selectmen that walkability is an important issue in Old Lyme.
Terrific. Yeah, I wouldn't have anything more to add on that other than for the last 2 meetings, I've asked that the Board of Selectmen put the Sustainability Committee on the agenda. So sounds like I got them to do it for the next meeting, and I can certainly make a statement based on what it is that you write up. I can certainly read that into the minutes.
Oh, great. Okay. Does that sound okay, Katie?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
Now, I have actually some concern with this. I don't know, Cheryl, you're doing a million things. I don't know how much time you've had to look at the letter I'm drafting. It's a data-based letter, and I'm just summarizing so many numbers. And there's very interesting stuff there, but some of it is very, very tedious, and we're already pushing 4 pages single space. At a certain point, I think your selectmen, you know, I'm going to try to not have it be too, I don't know what the right length is that I should be aiming for in terms of getting the points and having it be effective. And so I don't know if I can get any feedback from fellows or from you or from Mary Jo.
And let me throw out one idea first. Is it enough to have kind of top level findings in the letter and saying further analysis is happening in August, but we want you to know at this point, these are the reasons we think walkability is important to the residents of Old Lyme, and that you continue to pursue this as an important priority?
That to Charlotte?
I guess the question is how, if you're reading this into the into the minutes of your selections, how long should it be? Can we be very high level and just have it be a one-page letter with some backup?
Yeah, to Cheryl's point, I would just have some highlights that I can read in, and the full backup can be presented to the Board of Selectmen, but I would just read like a summary of findings into the minutes.
Okay, so do you have sort of a page limit or word limit, no more than 2 pages or something?
There's no limit to the backup, trust
Okay.
me. Yeah, but
Okay.
and if you don't have time to do a summary, I'll be happy to work on that and run it by you to see if that's sufficient for reading it into the minutes. I'd be happy to do that if that makes your life easier. If not, I'll read whatever you present.
Let me call your attention to the first set of minutes that Cheryl wrote, and that was a beautifully described summary of why and what it is. And Cheryl did a great job of writing, I think, 1 paragraph. And that first one was what, on the 10th of July. So among the things, documents that I've sent you, if you look at that, and Cheryl, I apologize, I changed action to category, but still the same, and the text is really usable. So you can look back at that and maybe save some time, thanks to what Cheryl did initially.
Yeah, and we'll just see how the numbers have, you know, we may need to tweak it for the numbers that have come in from the survey, but, you know, that was based on preliminary numbers, and we'll just see how they've changed. And I just don't want to give make the Board of Selectmen, read out loud a very quantitative document that's, 6 pages long or something.
I think top level,
Well,
like 285 people or whatever the number is, Holly, took our survey. I mean, that's a really strong number in Old Lyme. So,
yesterday.
What's that?
Yesterday was 267 when I last looked at it.
That's a great number. 267 people were committed enough to this topic to fill out a survey, and they told us these 5 things. And
yeah, you should be very proud of that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So again, I'm looking at what Cheryl wrote way back on July 10th. 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs under why sustainable CT is important, and the next section is titled Walkability Survey and Audit. And you could just adapt, take some of it. I would think, Cheryl, you don't mind us using your text, but a lot of the wording, the right vocabulary is in there. Also, the fact why it's important, and she adds, it opens doors for a variety of grants. Ooh, now they're listening.
You know what, Holly? That's actually a good point, because they're going to be looking for grants for sidewalks on Halls Road. So yeah, we should definitely have the word grants in there somewhere. Good point, Maureen.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's all there thanks to Cheryl, what she did over that weekend.
Yeah, and I do think the numbers that have come in since then have really been supportive of the idea that, we need to do a little bit of work on this. So we'll just write up a high-level summary for the selectmen, and that will be sort of our action item as we're making certain recommendations.
Thank you.
Okay, sounds good.
Now I think that's almost everything. Do we have any additional new business or public comment? I don't think we have guests here. I think it's all our board members, our team members. But is there any other new business? And
Sorry,
so, except to meet again next week. Is that the plan?
but I think we have Katie as.
Yeah, I'm free to meet again next week at 11 if that works for everyone.
Okay. So Katie, I have a question for you. How much longer do we have you?
I am working until August 21st, and then I'm done with the internship. And Erin is working until August 14th, but she should still be around to answer emails or calls if anyone really needs help.
All right. So by the time we actually apply, you'll be guiding us through that process.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Don't leave us.
As you've been guiding us all along, and we've been so reliant on you, and it's been really, your feedback has been great. I know we're peppering you constantly and questioning you constantly.
It's my job. I'm
You
happy.
know your stuff. So.
Well, you've always been responsive and on top of everything, so we always get an answer to every question that we ask, and I appreciate that. I'm sure the others do too.
It's been a real learning curve.
Put it on your resume.
Yeah. So.
Thank you.
I'm not kidding.
Mm-hmm. There's one thing I wanted to tell you all, just because I said I would do at the previous meeting. So you asked me to count up all of your points, and all of your approved points for actions that are completely done and require no more work. You're at 165 points, which is awesome. And a lot of that's from your previous application, and you only need 200 to hit bronze. And I believe with your points from equity, with your points from your innovation action 10.1, once we put 2.102 and 7.1 up there, and all of the amazing artwork under 3 that Cheryl is doing, that you guys will surpass 200. And I'm really excited for your application.
So that will make us bronze.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, cool. What do we get at 200 points?
Your champagne.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Champagne would be good. Even coffee would work, but champagne would be better. Hey, listen, I think this has been a monumental group work. I don't think I've ever worked with a group that has individually run with their assignment like this group has. There's been very little reminder or input, maybe some discussion, but always welcomed, always worked out beautifully. And you know what? It's a lack of ego and primarily putting the town first and the program first. But I don't think I've ever seen, encountered, and certainly never worked with a group like this that is so on top of it, so on top of it.
Maureen,
I
last
really
week you put it really well. You said, what a bunch of dames.
Yeah, honestly, I'm so happy that there's no men in this. That I mean, we've really been focused on this whole application. We haven't excluded anybody, but this is a real hustle. So thanks to women who hustle. Woo!
Yeah. We're gonna get
That'll
it
be the award.
done.
We'll all have badges that say, I'm a woman who hustles. We are a bunch of women who can shake it.
Yeah. No, and I think
the town is really, really blessed to have all of you, and for picking up things that nobody else had time or interest to do, to making it happen. So it's good to know you.
Holly and Mary Jo, I don't see anything wrong with putting that or some more dignified phrasing into the letter to the selectmen that says, you know, this group came together, but boy, did they turn out some work. When I first looked at this, I said, oh my God, this will never get done. I cannot do this alone. And whew, without any further ado, Holly, Cheryl, everybody has just taken a bite out of this. You know how to eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And here it is.
Well, hopefully after we can meet in person at some point, you guys can really get the recognition that you guys deserve. So thank you.
Well, I want the selectmen to know that these are the people that support work, good work within the town. Not disruptive work. We're not asking for anything that changes the climate of the town. We're just looking at what people have input to this effort. Like, we didn't invent their responses. They gave us their responses. The school and Rebecca has created this effort. We didn't get involved with that, but we're just sort of incorporating it into what Sustainable CT decides is good for a town.
Yeah, we're documenting what everyone has done. There's a lot of interest in this stuff here in town, you know. And
yeah, well, that's it.
Yep.
And
you know that the weird thing is that none of us intersect with other efforts for sustainability, like Halls Road and some of these other things. There was another recycling group a year ago that I didn't know anything about, and Holly had asked me to do recycling, and it was very confusing, but I saw it more as divisive than collaborative. So that's how I walked away from last year's efforts. But yet, here we are, and thank God, really. I think it's been amazing for me to try to hustle and keep up with everybody. Talking about a Zoom meeting. So Katie, when I do the minutes and, for example, put the Zoom meeting address on there, wait a minute, it's the same link, correct?
It was the same time, same place, same link as well, or should we wait for a link from the fellows?
I'll send you a link. I'm pretty sure it's always the same link when it's a standing meeting, but just to be safe, I'll send you a link right after this.
Okay,
Yeah,
and again,
do that.
and thanks very much for asking about the issue of recording. We will need to record again as well next week.
Of course.
The recording will be public.
Mm-hmm. Who should I send the recording of the Zoom to?
Okay, so what do? You send it to me and then I send it to the town. Mary Jo, does this get attached to the minutes?
No, no, it does not. So it needs to go to town hall. And when we get off here, I'll send you the name and the email of Michelle. It's Michelle Noren at town hall, but I'll send you that electronically so you have that person. And it also needs to go to, well, that'll do it. We'll just send it to Michelle because she puts it on our town YouTube page. But the minutes still go.
I know her address. You don't have to send it to me.
But the minutes still go to the town clerk.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
All righty then. Now, I don't know if we are on Robert's rules, I think informally. Our next meeting will be Friday, July 31st on Zoom, as you gathered. Now, in the meantime, is there a motion from the floor to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Aye and thank you. Mm-hmm.
Anyone opposed, say nay. All abstentions, say abstain. Okay, then the ayes do have it, and this meeting is adjourned. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody in a week.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
I don't
you.
know about anybody else, but my keyboard emits steam when I'm sitting at it.
Oh, dear. Mine almost does.
It's just become a bet.